All right, we're live. Everyone, as you tune in, welcome to another live recording on the Managing Partners podcast. Today I have Karalynn Cromeens.
Yes, sir.
And she's joining us from Texas. She really focuses on construction law, but I'll let her talk about that. And she has a new book out, so we'll also talk about that. So we're ready to learn a lot from Karalynn, and introduce yourself.
Cool. Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Karalynn Cromeens. I have been a licensed attorney in Texas for the last 16 years. I started my practice kind of out of necessity in 2006. When my last year of law school, my husband and I started a material supply company, and I really needed to figure out lien laws in Texas, which are a very complicated animal. And then just construction in general. I'd been in the construction industry most of my life. My grandfather was an excavator. My stepdad was an excavator. My uncle was, I have an uncle that's an irrigation contractor and an uncle that's an electrician. So some of my first jobs as a teenager were in a subcontractor's office. So I kind of know the basics of how it works. And then, I did that for our company to collect our money. And then my business kind of grew from there, because there's people that can practice construction law, but a less amount of people who practice construction law that actually worked in the industry. And then so starting the business from the ground up in the construction industry, you realize how much you need legal help, especially, and that's what the book I wrote is about, is Quit Getting Screwed, about how not to get screwed in the construction industry, specifically on contracts. But that's what we do. We help you negotiate contracts and collect your money and run a better business across the board.
And so I love that. So you have a very strong knowledge and personal connection to the law you practice, and seeing it from both sides versus, you just you learn the law and decided that to go into that. Like, you had a lot of reasons to go into that field.
Correct. I mean, it was, like I said, it was kind of a necessity. I think I would have probably ended up there anyways. It just pushed it right along on where I was going.
All right, anyone tuning in, also don't forget, ask any questions if you have those regarding construction law primarily, but other areas that you practice in, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I do real estate as well. Any kind of business to business formation. Really my job is a problem solver for businesses across the board. Collections, even if not in the construction industry, is a huge part of what I do. Even for doctor's office, dentist office, just the professional collection side, and filing lawsuits and evictions and all that good stuff.
Well, maybe you can call a couple of my clients that owe me money. No, just kidding.
We all have those, and that's why you need people like me.
We have perfect clients. I'm just joking. We don't have anyone that owes us anything. But so you want to go into kind of like, some of the, and again, I think the construction piece here is unique and niche for you. What are some of the kind of the challenges your client would face? And specifically, I think in the construction side, but basically, why do they reach out to you when they do, or is it something you're trying to get ahead of? But what are kind of the challenges that they typically face that you're helping them navigate?
Usually they show up when they have a problem. I'm trying to be proactive. We have a couple of issues that always creep up. I'm getting ready to sign a contract that I don't understand. So let's go over it. I've signed a contract that I don't understand, and now I'm in trouble. So help me get out of it. I need to draft a contract because somebody else is going to hire me, or I'm owed money for work that I've done. And so all of those things we help across the board. And then once you come in with one of those issues, what I try to do is I have like a legal landmine checklist for businesses in the construction industry. So the first thing is, are you incorporated? Are you incorporated properly? Is all that set up? The next thing, employees is a huge thing. If you have any type of employees, are you classifying them correctly, and are you paying them correctly? Because I don't think people understand the gravity of what can happen if you misclassify someone or don't pay them overtime. It's not just that one employee that can come after you. You can get sued in federal court, and basically they'll open up your books for the last 3 years and tell all your former employees, hey, you may have been paid wrong. You want to you want to join this lawsuit. It's basically, they certify a class. And so we go through the employment issue. Do you have an employee handbook? And then the next thing is, do you have a good contract, or do you know what to watch out for when you're signing somebody else's contract? And then the other piece that we really get into is the collection strategy, and realizing that collection starts way before you even enter the business transaction. Way before the transaction starts. It's not something you think of on the end and then try to scramble to cover, So we help people put collection strategies in place that work with the liens. And that's the thing, is about liens. Construction liens are different in all 50 states. And so right now, one of my big projects is I'm diving into what you need to do to file a lien in all states. And then later on this year, that will be on Subcontractor Institute, like in plain English, step-by-step instructions on how to do it in each state, because that's something that's really lacking out there that anybody in the construction industry can use.
Excellent. Well, so I was interested to learn, what you just said about collections, kind of like starting, having that in place beforehand versus like, hey, this, we're trying to collect on this and it's kind of too late and we're trying to, I guess, cover our costs. So that's interesting.
Well, and especially if you're with law firms, you want to get as much information up front. And when you're asking, when they open a file, it doesn't seem out of place. But if you're asking when they owe you money, you're not going to get that information. And so just knowing and each state is different about what you can do. Texas is actually very limited on what we can do to collect judgment. Other states let you garnish wages for a judgment. You can't do that here. We can't go after a homestead. There's a lot of protections in Texas that other states don't have. But knowing, where what bank they're at, making copies of checks when you get paid, taking note of all that would help you later on if you don't get paid. And here's the other thing, especially with lawyers, is they don't want to push, because they don't want to get a bad review. They don't want to get sued for malpractice. And so if you do a good job, just go out there and do it. I've been called unreasonable more than once because of my collection strategy for myself and for my clients. But I don't just sit and wait around, which I don't think you should have to. Once you get a judgment, it's pretty clear that you should be paid.
Yeah. Well, so to kind of tack on to what you were talking about with the different kind of challenges they may face or things you help them with, maybe you could quickly explain, because there's differences here. You got an employee versus a contractor, and then versus a subcontractor.
Correct. And the main thing is the level of control, right? And here's the thing, is that the IRS doesn't care what you call them. It's what they actually do that matters. Like, I just give them a 1099. That doesn't, you get audited, you're going to owe all those taxes and withholding and overtime. So you really have to see if that person shows up at your office every day and you tell them what to do every day, they're an employee. And they need to be paid overtime. They need to be paid correctly. If it's truly a subcontractor, they go to other projects, they have their own equipment, you're not their only source of income, then you need to have a contract with them, and that's fine. But you can't, classify an employee as a subcontractor just because you don't want to have to take out withholdings and, properly pay them. It can catch up with you. And then here's the thing, is that once you find out you're doing it wrong, fix it, because there is a statute of limitations. Don't not deal with it and hope nobody will find out, because what usually happens is that somebody gets injured either on the job or off the job, then goes to an attorney who then is a PI, a personal injury attorney, who then starts pumping them. What do you do for a living? And in the construction industry, it is wrought with people not being paid properly, like day laborers just being paid for the day, although they should be paid overtime. And so those PI firms usually work with an employment firm that will pick up the case. And obviously it's on contingency. And so you as an employer are now facing federal court and a bunch of attorney fee bills, plus whatever you owe the employees.
So those things that were kind of under the radar are now being exposed.
Correct. So the sooner you realize it and fix it, try not to make a big deal out of it. Just, we're changing our practices. We're going to, do it the right way.
We had a question come in while just a few minutes ago. This is from Sean Ragsdale. Do you plan on expanding into Dallas? So are you going?
Eventually I'll have an office there, but we're ready to go in Dallas right now, especially, thank goodness, everything's virtual. We can obviously go to court hearings there and everything right now. And anything that you need done legally, we can either do via Zoom or we can be there. Because right now we have offices in Houston, San Antonio, and Austin. But we can still go to Dallas right now.
Yeah, so I mean, you're really practicing in the whole state. Do you take any cases that are super far away? Do you? I guess maybe it's case by case basis.
Yeah, usually, and what I'm expanding on with Subcontractor Institute, doing 50 states, I'm eventually Subcontractor Institute can do the liens and everything, but once that goes to lien, there's no any lawyers that work there, so you're going to have to be farmed out. And my plan is to have the Cromeens Law Firm expand to all 50 states. Either some, when first starting out, being like with the UBE, or you can easily be with reciprocity, you can easily be licensed in other states starting here. And once that business builds up big enough, we can have an office there, or whatever we need to do to expand that there. Is the long-term plan that we're working on. But that's probably like the 10-year plan. So.
Well, that was going to be kind of my next question is one, and this will probably tie into that, but how are you acquiring clients? So what is your team doing? What's your company doing, or your firm, I guess, to generate new business, acquire new clients, currently in, I guess, Texas, and then my next question would be kind of what's your plans for growing that in the future?
Gotcha. So I came up with this growth goal, I guess it was at the end of 2019, to 10 times my revenue, which is a huge goal and something that's going to take a lot of time. And so then I stepped back and I thought, how can I do that? What can I do to bring more clients in, to help more people? And the first thing I was like, okay, I can write a book. I know a lot about this area, and I can write it in a way that people understand it. And then it was a perfect storm that I had taken a case to trial with a client that I really enjoyed, and I thought he did a great job, but he signed a contract that it didn't matter. He did a good job. And so we lost, and he got a $400,000 judgment taken against his company, and went out of business. And I was pissed. I was so mad. And I was so mad because there was nothing I could do because he signed that contract. And so the best thing I knew how to do is to teach people what to look out for when they sign a contract, and to know that there's no set of rules out there that protect you. And so I started writing the book, which is Quit Getting Screwed, which is available on Amazon. And then I was doing that, and it's like, we need something more. So then I started the Subcontractor Institute. And right now, the Subcontractor Institute is 100% free. There's 80 forms there, legal forms that you can use for your business. I basically teach the book chapter by chapter for free. And what's launching next week will be have your construction contract reviewed. Basically, you can upload it and pay per page, and then have it reviewed and sent back to you. And so all of that media push and all of that social push has really brought new clients and attention. And the other thing is the Quit Getting Screwed podcast has gotten a lot of traction as well, where I kind of take these deep legal issues like employment, where the new one this month is employment. We really kind of break it down on what you need to watch out for, and just talk candidly about the issues in the field, but in a way that everybody can understand it. Because I think lawyers so far and the previous generations have done a bad job of making legal knowledge accessible to everyone, and I think that's going to change. And if it doesn't change, then they'll go out of business, because there are people out there that are doing that. So, yeah, that's kind of everything that we're working on.
So the book. So this is the title here at the bottom. If everyone's checking this out, Quit Getting Screwed: Understanding and Negotiating the Subcontract. So it's available on Amazon. I put the link in the comments for anyone that wants to go check that out. So, and that is that a book that released January this year?
Yes. And then there's actually, I wrote a second one on collections specifically for Texas that will launch in the third quarter, I think about September, and that's called Quit Getting Stiffed. So
I love the names, by the way.
I don't know how else to say it, but to be honest about it, and like I said, realize that sometimes you may feel helpless, that you have to sign this scary contract in front of you and you don't know what it means, but you don't have to. And honestly, you would be doing the whole industry a favor if you would push back on these contracts. I'm trying to give people the tools to do that.
Excellent. I love it. I love the titles. I like, being a little bit edgy, direct. I think that'll work well for you, actually. And so you got the book out. What, I guess, other marketing strategies have worked for you in the past? Obviously, we do digital marketing for law firms. That's what we specialize in and what we focus on mostly. But anything you've done, whether it can be word of mouth, your referrals, but anything digitally, your website. I know you have a nice website, SEO. What things have really worked for you guys in the past to to obtain new business?
Well, Google Ads are still our number one source of revenue of new clients is Google Ads. But you have to get in there and really define what your search terms in, play around with it, check it constantly. Which, like, to lawyers, this is we don't know what the hell this is. I'll tell you, I don't know what the hell this is. I can tell you who's calling and what the phone is ringing, and then if we tweak something, a different line of customer comes in. And so I know that it's very important, and I know that I can tell you that the beginning of this year, usually I didn't have to compete for my Google AdWords, but apparently everybody was feeling it. So the guys that are bigger than me were eating up the Google AdWords, and mine were way less effective. So I had to find other ways. So my second source of revenue, second source of biggest clients is word of mouth, is referrals. And then and that comes from people coming in. And the best thing I can tell you, no matter what your field is customer service. Attorneys have such a bad rap out there. If you could just like answer the phone call the same day, make sure that, I mean, I have competitors that, like, potential clients call, they never even call them back. And so getting rid of that stigma that's behind attorneys is huge. And you want to get revenue from from repeat business, customer service, and I really think that's hugely important. I've actually I have a position, a gentleman that started with me is Daniel. He's awesome. He's my customer service rep. He's who you'll talk to, the intake process. He gets you all set up on our Clio, which is our, cloud system. And you can upload your documents. And if you have any questions, he's a phone call or email away, and he can get you in contact with whoever you need to. And the other thing is that I know it's uncomfortable, but promptly address criticism or issues. If you let it sit, it's just only going to get worse. And don't be wrong, there's some clients that will never be happy. I get it. But the thing is, you can't hide from it. That makes it worse. You just got to come out and say what it is. And then I really think that's where the legal field is headed. And if you don't get on it, you're not going to be around for very long, because there are people that are doing that are offering that service. And so, like I said, customer service. And then the other thing, especially with online webinars, I can't tell you how many places I talk for free, give webinars for free. I'm starting to get the paid ones because I've done it enough. I'm out there enough, which will lead to another source of income. But offer, find your local associations that are, like, for me, construction associations. There's like 5 or 6 law firms, but if I'll go and I offer to give free talks on a topic, that's another way that we get a lot of people that might not need us right now, but will remember me in the future if they need something. So I think those are the big things that we've been doing. And then, real events are coming back, which are huge. People are ready for real events. So if you have any of those going on, you're going to get a huge turnout, right? At least in my experience is that, golf tournaments, all of the things people are ready to go to again.
Absolutely. Well, I love a lot of what you just had to say. And I totally agree with you. You're preaching to the choir, I think, on that. This is something I work on with my company a lot, is responsiveness, communication. And it can be negative or bad or whatever, but hey, just we messed this up, or we didn't do this, or we did do this, or just over the top where my team's like, this, are we going to call the client this many times? Like, yes, you are. You're going to tell them everything. And then lessons learned, what we call, if you screw something up, you bring it out, you bring everyone in, you have a debrief of what happened and figure out and make a change to your processes if you have to, and then tell the client, hey, we did screw this up. Here's what we changed, and here's the document that shows it, and here's the people that were at fault, but now they know what's up, and we've changed this, and we hopefully never let it happen again. So
I think it's the biggest thing. They want to be heard. They want you to hear that they have an issue and then deal with it, and just saying, yes, we were wrong. And nobody's perfect.
That's hard to do, though. It took me,
especially for lawyers, very prideful people generally, but we all make mistakes, right? All the time.
And then, tie it back into kind of like the digital marketing thing. You have your Google My Business listings, you have reviews, and I don't know how many people I see where they don't respond to reviews at all, good or bad. They just don't monitor it. And a bad review sitting there for 6 months or a year, you can't go back and respond and try to make up for it at that point. So, and then anyone reading those is going to say, hey, they didn't respond to any of these people. And so I just see that commonly, that most firms
but the question is how much detail do you get into a response? Because, like, I
Not
I
much.
have a client right now that we're kind of going back and forth, and there comes a point where I apologize. I should have been clearer on what I was saying, but I hear what you're saying, but I don't think another response is going to be very fruitful to anybody. They're just going to be, and so that being said, and I fell down here too, managing expectations on the front end. What can you expect? When can you expect it? If you're a billable attorney, quoting prices, you probably shouldn't do. You can give ballparks estimate and always go high, never go low. But,
Yep.
It's the whole thing. I mean, in any business, it's managing expectations.
Yes, 100%. That's another good point there. And that's where we've gotten in trouble too. It's so say someone on my business development team, they could set the wrong expectation. They sign on as a client, and then the management, my operations team then there's different expectations, or they weren't aware of what said business development person promised or said.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's this, potential mess there.
Yeah, and then the customer's like, "Oh my gosh, what am I dealing with here?" I talked to this one person, and then we have the same thing too in the intake process. You'll end up with a different lawyers, and what'll happen is we'll talk about it, we'll set the strategy, and then somebody else will take over. And so just explaining that that's what's going to happen. That I'm still involved, but we're gonna, if you don't want me to bill every hour on your file, you want somebody else who's cheaper than me to do that with the experience, but. And just explaining the process up front. And like I said, the main thing, answer the phone call the same day. Would you please do that, people? I'm sick of people hating lawyers because we don't answer phone calls. Just deal with the shit. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. And I think, and that's common in my industry too. So we try to make it a point to actually, if I have a lead come in, mm-hmm. I get them all, they get through me. Mm-hmm. And, whoever I'm going to give it to, I'll be like, hey, are you available right this second? Yeah, well, I'm in a meeting for the next hour. Okay, you don't get it.
Somebody else. No, because it happens that quick that they can go find somebody else or do, and then you'll lose the lead. Or, they call and they were interested and then they change their mind. So.
Yeah, well, I want them to be just impressed that we even called that fast, because they're like, oh, wow, I was thinking you'd call me next week or something. And so we want to be that difference. Mm-hmm. Then you got to back it up, all the way through.
Exactly. It takes some time and effort and focus. And the other thing too is, especially in the legal field, just be honest. Don't promise things you can't do. Don't tell a client they have a case when they don't, and just be as honest as you can about the situation. Because the other thing that I see in this field all the time is that people billing clients unnecessarily. And the client doesn't understand that's didn't have to go down that way.
You're not billing me for this, are you?
So much of my time is writing content, and I like have once or twice a week where I get to put some billable hours in, and most of my time is like consulting with clients, and I don't really charge for that. That's the thing at my firm, we do billing, and then if it's like an update or client consult, we don't charge for that. You'll see it on the invoice, but it'll come across as zero. Because nice. I think it's very important to keep your client updated. That's one. And then invoice. When you want to get paid, invoice. They don't teach you how to run a business in law school, but if you want to get paid, invoice. And actually, how I set my firm up, and it was basically out of necessity, being a small business. We bill every 2 weeks, and there's a credit card run for the bill. And then if that when you hire me, you put a $2,500 retainer in my IOLTA account. And so if that credit card isn't through, I can pull from the IOLTA to pay that bill and basically put everything on hold until you refill that retainer.
Interesting.
Just because I couldn't make payroll every 2 weeks waiting for people to pay their bills. Lawyers aren't at the top of I think we have very valuable services, but unfortunately we're never at the top of the list to be paid.
I just got a bill from our lawyer a minute ago, actually. So it's interesting. Our model, which this show's about you, but our model, we kind of do a similar thing. We have kind of like a retainer fee. It's not a lot of money, but it's everyone's always like, well, what's that fee? We call it professional services, and and it's really I relate it to our clients, which are law firms. It's $400 a month, and it's full access to anyone on my team, plus me, plus our software and analytics and all that stuff. But You can call us every day, any day, all the time, and you'll never get a bill that's more than the amount that you're signed up for. And we'll talk about things that are not even things that we do for you. So it's versus like, if you had a lawyer that billed you by the hour or a firm like ours, then, you could get a different bill every month. So
well, then you feel like, what did my client say today? You feel like you're getting nickel and dimed. And here's what I have to say. I'm a lawyer. I sell time. I don't know how else to do that, but to put my time in and then bill you for it. But then, like you said, I think this is where the legal field is going, subscription pricing. And so I have some plans for my clients that is all inclusive. You pay this flat amount per month. It gives you, and there's different levels, right? You can get just the lien package, just the collection package, all the way up to, all of your litigation as a plaintiff for $5,500 a month, plus cost, right? Plus the actual filing fees and everything. Because the biggest question I always get in, how much is it going to cost? And I can't tell you. The best I can tell you is I have this package. If it's worth it to you, then do it. If not, that's so much money. I said, yeah, but you've never been involved in an active lawsuit. $5,500 when you're getting ready to go to trial is huge savings, And so, but having that option out there to not just say, oh, basically you're giving me an open checkbook, it has been very helpful. And most people will go with the other way because they think that they're going to get a better deal. And then they can always switch over. But, it's, I think that's where the legal field is going. I honestly do.
Well, so that's kind of similar to how we operate, right? It's, you're going to get a certain amount of marketing services and advertising, and there's a set budget per month. And that's really the same price every month. Mm-hmm. And that can change if we make changes, but what it does for us and what that would do for you is recurring revenue that you can forecast and you can start to make decisions based on.
Well, and as somebody who's buying your services, I know what they're going to cost. You know what I'm saying? I can budget in for that. This is my marketing budget. And I can tell you, I tried to do some outsourced marketing before. My business is just too niche. I couldn't have anybody write effective blog articles because it's just a different animal. And I tried to dive into the marketing thing, and I'll tell you, you just don't know what you don't know, but you know what you need, right? And spending the money on marketing in this day and age, as a lawyer, you're going to have to if you want to stay in business. There's just no other way. Word of mouth. I would say someone in your niche, writing for is very difficult. Trying to speak in your tone or your voice is very difficult. Social media becomes difficult. I think where you could get help, maybe Google Ads, because that's more kind of a technical aspect of how it all works. SEO could be that as well, but that would be a mutual content kind of obligation on your all's part for that to really work. And then whatever the backlinks are and the things that, all of that stuff,
the technical stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I know that it's important, but I don't have time to learn it. So I'll hire an expert.
This is a question that came in from Sean.
CYA. No, but it's my personal term. It means cover your ass. And I give some great seminars on how to do it. No, it is not. I guess if you're going to be in construction, you need to know how to CYA.
I like that.
Yeah,
Sean does some digging here on you.
Yep. I have some great, and there's some great stuff on CYA for material suppliers and for subcontractors.
That sounds like a new book title right there.
I'm going to have a whole series, and I'm going to have a whole series, and it'll be CYA. So I've done contracts, I've done collection. The next one will be employment, like the issues I'm talking about, and it'll be a whole package, and the whole package will be CYA.
So with your book, are you self-publishing or using a service or a bit?
Oh my gosh, there's this great service out of Austin called Scribe. He is the best. Great. I mean, they are, and he's got it right. He's got it right. Most of writing a book is thinking that you can't. And so he gives you the whole process and he gives you the outline. It is a great, because you have the knowledge. You just need to know how to get it out and have it edited and done professionally. And that's what they do. And they're so good at it. So if I could recommend them, I would.
My business partner just wrote a book, and it's called the $1 Million Journey. So it's basically journey from, going from a, startup to, $1 million in revenue. Mm-hmm. I'm part of this because me and him partnered up in 2017 and we exceeded $1 million after, at that point. But it's got a whole journey of like a startup to like $1 million in revenue, and it's kind of the step-by-step kind of how-tos.
The things you got your ass kicked along the way that you want to help people prevent. Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe they can condense it to a couple years instead of 10 years.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah. Sorry. I got my ass kicked for years too before I figured out how to do it right. I think it's just.
So you said, what I heard was 10 times your revenue.
Yes.
And what's the goal? What's the timeline?
10 years or less.
That's excellent.
And don't get me wrong, 21 has kicked me in the butt. I'm 20% down over 20. But don't get me wrong, 20 was starting out to be my biggest year ever. And it just, so.
They're just going to speed things up.
Well, I can tell you the downtime we really used. I wrote 2 books. We switched to Clio, which is all online. We've become where we can basically work for anywhere. So it was really a time to regroup and get everything together, which I think we did. My team did a really good job at.
That's excellent. I've actually heard that from quite a few people. They got to kind of regroup, work on things that they didn't get to work on because they're too busy. And then now, things are maybe hopefully more efficient.
Yeah.
You can start to work remote with some folks if you need to have this capability if you didn't have it. So yeah, that's really good. We have a goal. It's 100 million in revenue by 2030.
So that's what, 20 years, 10 years.
10 years, the same timeline as you, roughly.
That's a lot bigger goal than mine. 10 times I thought was huge.
Well, I'm going to check in with you and see where we're at here. Okay. But it's cool. It's lofty, and we have a podcast called a separate podcast from this for entrepreneurship, and it's called Journey to 100 Million. And we just talk about getting your ass kicked, the goods, the bad. Things we learn, books we read, but they're like 5-10 minute episodes, just real quick kind of things. But it's all fun stuff. But
100 a lot of million, stuff. That's a big journey.
That is a big journey. And once we put it out there, we're
10 times my 10 time.
Huh. Once we put it out there, it's kind of like, hey, we just did that, so now we gotta
do that. There's plenty of people out there that need your help, though. I mean, I can't tell you. I knew that marketing was an issue that I needed to deal with. And so I'd hire people that said they knew about marketing. And if you can outsource it, definitely do that. Because it is such a big part of being successful in this day and age. You have to be out there.
And I agree with you too, 100% that not everything can necessarily be outsourced, and not everything should be. And I think we've kind of learned that somewhat the hard way in some cases, that for some clients, and especially they're not here local to us, most of our clients are national. We can't do certain things. Social media is always best run by the brand itself. Someone on site, and you guys have some really good stuff. I saw the videos and a lot of your different employees, and you kind of have some of like the audio clips and all that cool stuff going on. That would be very difficult for some other third party to do for you.
And that's the thing I learned after, is that like I can create the content. I just need somebody to put it out there for me. Yep. And the authentic me, people want to listen to. And so, but trying to have somebody else do that voice, it doesn't work. Yeah, at least, totally agree. You could put it out there, but then I go read that. I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? I don't even know. I don't know. It's supposed to be my website.
Well, so yeah, the thing here is you create the content, it can be quick. And then you have a process for distributing it and repurposing as much as possible.
Making it look pretty and attractive for the different platforms. The different platforms are different things.
Love it. All right, well.
It's entirely a whole nother job.
So I know your website here, you also mentioned the Subcontractor
Institute.
Is there another way people can connect with you if they'd like to follow you?
I'm on LinkedIn, my personal name, the firm Subcontractor Institute, on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And I think I don't know, apparently we're starting TikTok videos, but I have no idea what that even means. So I don't know if you're on there, if people follow you. I don't know how that works.
Love it. I don't really mess with TikTok myself personally, but it's another thing. It's getting big, and
apparently it's huge in construction. I didn't know. The guys on the job site out doing TikTok videos. I don't know. So
And we got to go where the clients are going. So
Exactly.
that's good. Well, I think, I looked at your site, and anyone watching, check out her website. I know most of the links to the social platforms she mentioned are off there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can catch up, check out her book. I think I put the link in the comments.
Excellent.
And look for her next book.
September.
September.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Cool.
Well, anything else you'd like to add before we go?
Thank you so much for having me. My customer service, no matter what business you're in, customer service is most important.
Love it. All right, that's tip of the day, everyone. If you're listening, work on customer service, answer the phone, get back to people.
Yes, quit giving lawyers a bad name, please.
Or just send more work there.
Exactly. You can send it to me. I'll take care of them.
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on, everyone. Happy Friday. Have a good weekend, and we will see you soon.